So,
hey, how's everybody doing?
So it looked like YouTube didn't have no audio.
Yeah. What's up?
You just missed the introduction.
Yeah. Again, this is Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live with your host, Will Gaillard.
And I'm Michael White.
And
for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Probably the people already
yeah,
in the chat.
we can put our names up there. I know Gaillard is a hard to pronounce and maybe hard to spell.
It's not pronounced how it's spelled.
Yeah, not really. A little bit. Gaillard. Maybe an E there or something like that. Yeah. But I've seen all kinds of spellings. But anyway, we were just talking about how we did miss our last broadcast for a few different reasons. One being I was still sick over the weekend. And you know what? You remember that hot toddy?
Well,
that was
somebody was asking about that in the comments section.
Oh, is that right?
Well, not today, but the post from yesterday.
Oh,
okay. From Tuesday, talking about the cancellation.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking whether that worked or not.
See, okay, so a few different things about that, right? First of all, I did not follow instructions. That's the first thing. It seemed like it was it seemed like the liquid was too little, so I put more liquid in there, diluting it even further. It tasted horrible.
You don't dilute it, man.
I know, exactly. That was one. But two, I did it on virtually an empty stomach, so after drinking it, felt a little intoxicated.
Oh.
Straight up. But it did help the throat. It straight up did help the throat, though. It was just I was intoxicated a little bit at the time as well.
Sometimes if you can just eliminate one of the symptoms, when you're sick, that helps out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And I got a halls in right now. So,
yeah.
I'm good. We'll see how the broadcast continues. If you make me laugh and start choking and stuff like that, like you usually do. I'm
gonna try not to. I'm gonna try my best.
I don't believe you. But yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things happen in the week that we've been absent now. Tax reform that got pushed through by the Republicans. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about President Trump in a few different ways. These cases of sexual misconduct
they just keep popping up.
Yeah, they just keep popping up, and there's been several resignations, maybe another one on the way as well. First, we want to begin with the net neutrality protests that have sprung up today, December 7th. So all across the country, there are about 700 different protests in every single state. And there are this is including at Verizon store locations as well. And if anybody's not too well versed in this net neutrality conversation, why Verizon is because of the FCC chairman Ajit Pai, who used to be a prominent lawyer for Verizon and is currently still looked at as like a puppet of Verizon doing their work, while commanding the FCC. So with net neutrality, the vote is expected to take place on December 14th, and they're expected to repeal the rules allowing ISPs, internet service providers, to create slow lanes and fast lanes, put a premium on content, block content, suppress content, all the things that every person in this country should not want if you're using the internet, if you actually use the internet to provide you information and entertainment as well. So it's not just this isn't a partisan conversation. This isn't a Democrat versus Republican, even though it's Republicans that are making this decision and are advocating for repealing the rules. As it pertains to the constituency, regular people that are in America, this is a bad decision. So like I said, there's protests all across the country, and they're trying to raise awareness to this very subject. So
are they? I think the awareness is already there. I don't think I think the awareness is already there. I think like that's already kind of spilled over the bathtub.
Right.
I think there's been enough awareness.
Now there's sound. Yeah, on Facebook.
All right.
We're getting back in the groove. Okay. We missed a day. Out of our element right now.
But Will was just talking about net neutrality,
right?
And the protests going on right now, and that's to spread awareness. I'm not disagreeing that it is to spread awareness, but my position is that awareness has runneth over already. You know what I'm saying? I think most people already know about it. I think their goal is to try to influence the outcome, or influence the outcome of the vote, which we already know what direction is going.
Yes, we do.
And you know, pardon me for being pessimistic, but I honestly don't think protesting outside of these corporations is actually going to have any consequence in the minds of the people that these protests are directed at. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look at the environment and the day and age that we're living in. President Trump is able to be openly discriminatory, racist, and that's pretty much okay. I mean, like, that's basically accepted by a large member of our population. And
some of the his colleagues who, I guess, vocally and rhetorically kind of admonish him for his attitude, say they're anti-Trump, but then they agree with him as far policy-wise.
Right.
You know
exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, given the landscape that we're in, you know, we've talked about how people there's a narrative where people vote against their own interests, right? Okay. Well, and we've kind of fought back against that claim because people actually do vote
for their interests,
according to their own interests.
They're just voting for different interests,
right?
Their other interests override.
Right, they're placing a premium on certain interests.
Yeah, we kind of like don't like to talk about those other interests that override the interests that we feel should be the priority.
Right. Now, as it pertains to net neutrality, though, see, this is the decision that's going to impact everybody, and this can be looked at. Well, go ahead. What?
No. That's right. I wasn't shaking my head because I was disagreeing. I wasn't shaking my head because I wanted to make a point. I was just shaking my head because I think there may be some deeper interests in that, even if they're not vocal about the possibility that their ability to access the internet will be affected. I think there may be something in the back of their head that contends, with the consensus that most of us have, and that maybe they won't be affected. I think there's still something in that
they're hoping.
It's like we're talking about it rationally. When you're talking about it like, well, it's going to affect all of us. But if you're dealing with a group of people that tend to vote in a way, I guess that proposes that they won't be affected by the person that they voted for. Right. I think that's the problem. There's this kind of this attitude that, you know,
they're disconnecting.
Yeah, they're disconnecting
from what's most likely to happen, because, and it's going to affect all of us.
Because check this out: if you're focusing on like things like a transgender ban, or you're focusing on the Muslim ban, if you're focusing on what what is indicated by Trump's tweeting, like or retweeting,
like stuff that you can sign off on
from like white supremacist websites. Obviously, there's some voters that feel, well, based on how Trump approaches his politics, and based on how Republicans approach their politics, since they rhetorically engage in, bigotry and soft bigotry. Since we're not affected by that, they're not talking to us. So when it comes to more, a policy that is universal, they may not see how it's going to affect them, because typically the politicians that represent them or claim to represent them tend to focus on the other. And so when we talk about net neutrality, maybe there's something in the back of their head that thinks that, oh, we won't be affected by that, because, see, this is pushed heavily by Republicans, and our president is Donald Trump, and, you know, he targets those other people. So, you know, maybe we won't be affected.
Well, what do we keep saying? The pain is coming.
That's you.
That's me.
I'm saying, but I agree.
Yeah,
but
yeah. The pain is coming.
You came up with that, but I agree with that, man.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is just inside the first year of President Donald Trump's administration. But yeah, the pain is going to come, and it's going to be felt by all, including Donald Trump supporters. But overall, you know, the protests, they're not going to be covered by your mainstream media sources.
Yo, you looked.
Oh, yeah, I looked. The highest profile website I saw that was actually talking about it, or that put an article out about it, was Forbes. There were other websites which I had never heard of before. Some that I have, but like I said, they're not high profile. This is not going to be covered by ABC News. It's not going to be covered by CNN, CBS News, MSNBC. I don't believe, at least I haven't seen anything yet. But I do appreciate how, you know, the people involved, people that are out in the streets protesting, chanting, they're trying to raise more awareness to this issue and trying to get people to call their congressmen and express how bad of a policy this will be for everybody. Well, not everybody. Let me not say everybody, because the ISPs, you know, big business, this is great for them. People that can actually pay that premium on content. So again, December 14th is not far away. That's like just 1 week.
That's a week away.
1 week, next Thursday. So next Thursday we could be living in the reality that net neutrality is officially gone. We will see. We will see what happens. But yeah, everybody, you know, that's out there protesting, man. Good job. You know, keep at it, and keep trying to raise awareness, and actually trying to petition these congressmen to do the right thing. We know how hard it is for them to do that, but you know, again, we'll see. So another issue that we're going to be talking about is last week we talked a lot about taxes. And there were, at that time, I believe, 5 Republican senators who were expressing some reservations about the Republicans' efforts to pass some tax reform legislation, or as I call it, corporate tax giveaway. Tax reform? No, that doesn't do it enough justice.
Again, we always talk about this. We always talk about language.
Yeah, that tax reform.
We know it's not reform. Like when they say they say Social Security reform. When they say reform something, they mean cuts.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, we talked about those 5 senators, and they expressed having some complications with it as it has been written. But in short order, their reservations were taken care of. Well, actually, all except one, Senator Bob Corker. On Friday night and into the wee hours of Saturday morning, this Senate tax bill was passed. Now, it was, how many pages?
439?
479.
That's 79.
479 pages, right? Okay, now it was presented as the legislation and voted on very shortly afterwards. So these senators were not able to read it thoroughly before voting on it. Even the Republicans weren't able to do that. Now, you did have some of them come out and say, well, look, this has been a long time coming, even years in the making. So we knew exactly what was in the legislation, even if we weren't able to read every part of it that night.
You know, they didn't read all of it, because even as the bill as it came to, you know, through the House, there were like alterations and additions, handwritten
alterations.
Yeah, on the the boundaries of the bill.
Sections crossed out.
There was like stuff that was illegible. Like there was somebody offering. It was so funny. I think it was on Twitter. Somebody was offering free gift cards to anybody that can decipher the chicken scratch. So it's like if people couldn't decipher it, then you know they couldn't.
So that's one of the many disappointments with this whole process, because regular order was not upheld.
Yeah, lobbyists, like those alterations, only people that were like journalists weren't allowed to see them. Right. Only lobbyists were allowed to see them. But really? Because we know that's who wrote the bill.
Oh, really? You think? You think lobbyists wrote it?
Well, hold up.
Lobbyists are lobbying for big business corporations, right? So you talking about it was those people, like in a straight line. It was those. It was actually the corporations that wrote the bill.
That's why again they don't. That's why they don't have to read it. That's why they don't have to know what's in it, because they know who it benefits. They're not going to challenge it. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, so it passed 51-49, and Senator Bob Corker was the only one to not vote for it. Was the only Republican not to vote for it. So it passed because they could only lose 2, and they ended up only losing 1. Now Bob Corker, if you remember, his complication, what he didn't like about this bill was that he recognized that it was going to add too much to the deficit.
That's why they had to start crossing stuff off.
Yeah. Now, but imagine that though. Now he's the only Republican that I believe had said anything about adding too much to the deficit. Now think about what kind of message that sends. Bob Corker has already stated that he is not running for re-election. Now Senator Flake has said that he's not running for re-election too. And you remember his speech on the Senate floor, begrudging the Trump politics and this and that. But as we look back on everything Senator Flake, he had pretty much agreed with President Trump on every single policy decision. So it was just that he was, I guess, mad at the way Trump conducted himself, and I guess his language on Twitter and things like that. But in terms of policy, in terms of an agenda, he's like Trump. But Corker is the only one to recognize that, or let me say that, I guess publicly recognize that this is going to add way too much to the deficit, and you know what, this is not something that I can back. Nobody else said that. Everybody else's gripe was something different that was taken care of, to the point to where they were able to vote for the bill.
So since Corker is not running for re-election,
nothing to lose.
He has nothing to lose, and he also they don't have to bargain with him.
No, they. Who cares about if they only lose Corker? Please, I mean, who cares? We can lose 2. So that's what happened. They only lost Corker because to rectify his complication, that would take a lot, because what they want to do is construct this bill in a way that is a massive handout to the wealthy and to big business. If Corker's, I guess if his issue is dealt with, then that makes it harder for them to do that for corporations. So of course this was a no-win situation. Of course Corker was going to be in a place where his concerns were not addressed. But like we have talked about with this tax bill, okay, to put it very bluntly, every individual tax cut will expire, and it will expire by December 31st, 2025.
And the reason why they did that was because they wouldn't be able to do the reconciliation,
right? So
without like lowering that deficit just enough,
right? And they couldn't, they couldn't extend it past 10 years because then they wouldn't be able to get. I believe they would have had to get 60 votes at that point. They would have had to get Democratic support.
They would have needed Democrats, but since they went through that process, they could bypass that.
Exactly, when they only needed a majority of the House. Of the Senate. So again, every individual tax cut will expire, but you know what will happen to the corporate tax cuts?
They don't expire, and that's because
they're permanent.
And that's, it's a shame, because if you look at the ratio of the corporations that pay for the lobbyists that took part in writing this tax bill, the ratio is greater than, let's say, of representatives is almost greater than the citizenry. Mm-hmm. They have better representation in Congress than we do, but
they're so few.
But
there's so few of them. Yeah. But they have money, of course, and that means they have access. The Intercept article in the Intercept quoted the New York Times. As the New York Times noted, by 2027, people making between $40,000 and $50,000 would see a combined increase of $5.3 billion in taxes. Where would that money go? Folks earning more than $1 million would see their taxes collectively cut by $5.8 billion a year. So this whole notion that this is being done for the middle class is complete garbage. Okay, they're pulling the rug. They're going to pull the rug out. I guess the rug out from all of us, really, because it is going to cut taxes momentarily. You know, for a little while, it's going to cut taxes. There are some Americans that are going to get a tax break, and for a few years, they're going to be like, okay, well, yeah, this is a good piece of legislation. And then, what did I say before? The pain is coming. The
pain is coming.
And it's going to hit everybody. Everybody earning under $75,000 will see a tax increase. But those earning like over $100,000, they won't see it. They'll see a somewhat of a little bit of a benefit, not much, but they won't see their taxes go up, not whatsoever. And for people earning way more than that, they're in significantly better. They're going to have significantly better outcomes. And
what they're going to do is they're going to factor in how much richer the rich are going to get, and then once you kind of add that into the overall GDP, it's gonna like look on paper like we're doing better,
right?
But we're not. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what. Well, obviously, the Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and the economic advisor, what's his name, Gary Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, their justification of this bill and the $1.5 trillion deficit is that it's going to pay for itself, because as a consequence of this tax bill, it's going to make the economy better. So it's going to pay for itself.
Oh, okay, so you're talking about that the money, most of the money is going to corporations, right? So most of the money is going to corporations, and you know what corporations do?
Right.
They create jobs.
Exactly.
So that's going to be better for the middle class, because I mean, we work, this is a service industry, so we're going to get the money in the form of employment. That way we'll have more money to spend in the economy. But what do corporations do when they get gifts like this? Like, what do we know corporations to do when they get massive handouts like this?
They just buy their own stock to increase the I guess the value of their company.
Yeah, and they pay top executives.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me they don't reinvest in the?
Well, that's what the energy company or the electricity company, SCANA, SCNG did. That's what their CEOs did. There's one of the CEOs is about to retire, and he's going to get $25 million golden parachute. But like months ago, he laid off 7,000 workers. This is why he has constant security. No, I talked to one of the security guards that works there, and dog, like, this is just, you know, Scandal, right? Yeah. On site, they have their own police like detail. They don't. It's not like the Columbia police. They have their own police detail within the compound. Who they secure the CEOs, and they travel with the CEOs. Like if something goes down, they call them. They call the internal police department. They have their separate police. That's because when they do some bullshit, they know people going to target them.
Very proactive.
Yeah,
You know what all of this means to me, though? You remember those CNN debates, those CNN tax debates, those conversations between Bernie and Senator Ted Cruz? They were the two mainstays. They were in both of them.
Yeah.
And then the other two were replaced on the different debates. But this tells me that those debates meant absolutely nothing. They meant absolutely nothing.
I think we both said that like the day of the debate, because it was on Thursday.
Yeah.
We were doing a live show.
Yeah. I mean, this is where, and again, if we talk about people that are, or is the narrative is that they're voting against their own interests. Again, we have to kind of fight back on that and say that no, they're actually voting for their interests. It just depends on what their interests are. But in this case, there's no. What noise?
A Skype call.
Is there a noise? Hold on.
Yeah. It was something. It was. I don't know, but some noise. It was like a. That's all I heard.
That might have been.
It had to be like a Skype.
But usually that doesn't happen though.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, like what we were talking with the.
I'm gonna leave it in.
Like when we were talking with about the net neutrality. This is a decision that's going to affect us all. It doesn't matter if we're Republican, doesn't matter if we're Democrat. This tax reform legislation, for most of us, we are going to see significantly higher taxes. So that applies to everybody. So the people that are trying to do the dirty work for these Republicans, saying that, yeah, it's going to be good for us. Yeah, this is actually a tax cut for the middle class. And this is exactly what the White House is calling it. This is exactly what our congressmen are trying to do. They're trying to help us out. The pain is coming. The pain is coming for us all.
There's going to be immediate pain. And then 10 years down the line, there's going to be some further pain.
Yep. And you know what? That kind of leads us to what Bernie Sanders has said in that last debate.
Yeah, well, and on the floor.
Yeah, and on the floor. You remember when he said, in the debate, he was talking about what are they going to do once the bills start skyrocketing, you know, like once that deficit starts climbing, increasing, right? What are they going to do? They're going to try to target Medicare, Medicaid, education, Social Security. They're going to try to come after those areas.
Because that's what they always do.
Because that's what they always do, right?
We're running a massive deficit. We cannot keep funding these entitlements.
So, after this legislation was passed, House Speaker Paul Ryan, what did he say? This was on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, this was on Wednesday. He said that the House Republicans are going to direct their efforts at cutting entitlement spending, Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare programs. This is a quote, direct quote from him. He said, "We're going to have to get back next year at entitlement reform, which is how you tackle the debt and the deficit."
So, but wait a minute. Wait. So now they're worrying about tackling the deficit.
The deficit is a problem.
The deficit is a problem now. The deficit's not a problem when kind of giving their corporate besties tax breaks.
It's not a problem when you add $1.5 trillion to the deficit because you're giving corporate funds to your besties.
So my thing is, like, how can they act as if people won't see the connection between the two?
I don't know. Like, you didn't hear anything about this while talking about tax reform. He didn't say anything about the deficit. Didn't say anything about that. No. It wasn't until afterwards he said, you know what? This exploding deficit. Oh, it's a problem. We've got to do something.
It's feigning outrage.
Yes, what
about
it is.
The deficit.
That's what it is. It's theater. It's exactly what it's political theater. He's not concerned. Like, if he's concerned about the deficit, it damn sure didn't show in him giving all this money away to corporations and the wealthy. If he cared about the deficit, he would have addressed those concerns while tackling tax reform and actually do what's best for, most of us, the 98% of us. But he didn't do that. But now he's signaling his intentions, all the Republicans' intentions, to say this entitlement spending has gotten out of control. It's way out of control. Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, y'all are getting too much. And you notice how entitlement spend, like the word entitlement has a negative connotation, right?
Oh no, it has. Well, it's not just it has a negative connotation. They know that when people hear that word and how they use it, they know that people kind of have this idea that it's mugs just getting handouts hand over fist. Yes. And they don't really, one thing they don't ever qualify that term entitlement with another, they don't ever qualify it with another word, and that's like earned entitlement. They never say earned entitlement. So when they say the word entitlement, it's like, why don't they ever admit that a lot of these entitlements people have paid into.
But see, it's kind of redundant to say earned entitlement, isn't it? Because the word entitlement means something that you're deserving of, like something that you should have, and you should have it because you paid into it. But you know how the word, like, if somebody's entitled, you know what, in our society,
meaning it has this connotation like you want something you don't deserve.
Exactly, but this isn't the case as it concerns Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. No, because we pay into that. All of us pay into that. Taxpayers pay into that. All these programs so that we can take advantage of it. So for them to try to cut these programs to
that's almost like saying,
to say that they're not going to cut.
It's not quite
benefits for the rich.
It's not quite the same, but it's almost like you paying your car insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just be paying into it,
mm-hmm.
and then something happens to you. Something happens to your car. You're like, "Yo, man, let me get my payout." I'm like, "You entitled, motherfucker? You think you entitled to have your situation amended?"
Yeah.
You're like.
Yeah, that's what I got you here for.
That's what I got. Yeah.
This is a program. This was set up for this purpose. He also said, Paul Ryan, he also said that Medicaid and Medicaid are, quote, the big drivers of debt. Like, I mean, look, we knew that it was going to happen. Bernie Sanders knew it was going to happen. He said this on national TV on CNN, right? Doesn't matter.
You know what I'm saying? Bernie called it out because they didn't want to actually admit that was going to be kind of their next move. Bernie was like, "Can I get a promise? Can you promise me that you won't seek to cut Medicare and Social Security?"
They didn't make that promise. They didn't make that promise. No. Because we already knew what was on the agenda. We knew what was on the agenda, and they're just fulfilling, what they want to get done. I mean, they have a list of things that they want to get done, and now their focus is on entitlement spending. And tax reform, check.
I have this like fear that like if this goes south, which it will go south.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to essentially place all the blame on Trump. I think that's what they'll do. I have a feeling that that's what they're going to do. They're going to make Trump the scapegoat for all this, even though Trump has no clue. Has no clue what's going on. I think
I feel you on that.
I think the only clue that he does have is that it benefits like his friends, but that's it. As far as like his involvement in like negotiating the bill. Trying to talk to members of Congress, I don't think he participates in much of any of that.
Yeah, but see, you have to think though, by the time this actually starts hurting, Trump is probably gonna be out of office. Because all the cuts are going to expire within 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So all the cuts for individuals, at least, are going to expire within 10 years. He's not going to be in office. He's not going to be in office anymore. What good is it going to do to blame him?
You think he's not going to be in office
within 10 years?
Oh, I thought you said 10. Okay. I thought
I
didn't know you said 10.
Yeah. So now it's going to start hurting because the deficit is going to start ballooning even more than it is right now. But if they're able to cut this entitlement spending too, then they're doing exactly what Trump wants too. So like I said, at the point where they're going to blame Trump, he's going to be gone, I believe. Maybe in 4 years this is an issue. Maybe in 4 years, I'm not sure. I don't know, we'll have to see. But again, the pain is coming. And with that, Facebook, we're going to get going. If you want to see the rest of the show, we hope that you do. We have the link up at the top of the header, and you just have to click it, and you'll be taken to YouTube where you can see the rest of the program. So thank you for being here with us, and we'll see you on YouTube. All right. So let's get to these, some of these men some of these men that are being forced to resign because of their inappropriate behavior. So on Tuesday, Representative John Conyers resigned his post, as a member of Congress. He was the House's longest serving member. And of course, this is after it was made public that a woman had reached a settlement against him because of some inappropriate behavior, some sexual harassment. And this was dating back, dang, what year was it? I forgot. I can't even remember what year it was. Maybe it was 2014. I can't remember the year. But anyway, it was sometime within the past few years. And he has denied being at fault. He has denied the allegation, but of course he admitted that there was a settlement that took place, but he said he had no role in the sexual misconduct at all. But there was significant efforts. There were some significant efforts to get him out of Congress. Nancy Pelosi said that he should step down, and on Tuesday he did. What's interesting is that when he stepped down, he endorsed his son, John Conyers III, to take his place. He endorsed him to take his place in Congress. Now, it's a little bit of a bad look. It's a little bit of a bad look to do that. So earlier this year on Valentine's Day, his son, Conyers III, was arrested for domestic violence. Now, if you look at the particulars of the case, not sure that he was really at fault for anything. I'm not, I mean, like, like if he was actually guilty of domestic violence, the charges were dropped. Because the woman, it was his girlfriend. I don't know if it was his ex-girlfriend or his girlfriend at the time, but they got into some kind of verbal disagreement, and it escalated into an altercation. She says that he stabbed her, and then he pinned her up against the bed or the wall, and he spit on her. He says that no, they got into an altercation because of a verbal disagreement. She brought out the knife and was chasing after him, trying to cut him. And he just tried to restrain her or whatever like that, and I guess at some point she got cut by it. She got cut, with it, swinging it herself.
You know what? He may not be guilty of domestic violence, and that's cool.
True.
But he still takes an L. Because if you're in a situation where you got a chick chasing after you with a knife, you just take a L for the team. You may not take an L legally for domestic abuse, but you getting chased around in your house with a knife.
With a knife,
there are problems in your relationship.
Oh yeah, no doubt. He said she kept swinging and she cut herself. So I'm not trying to indict him because of this.
But you're saying it's a bad look.
It's a very bad look,
considering what his father.
Exactly. You're like, look, this isn't the job for you right now. Like, this is not the job for you right now. You don't replace your father, who resigned because of his sexual inappropriate behavior. Like, even if he says that he wasn't guilty of it, that's why he resigned. You were arrested for domestic violence earlier this year. No matter if you're guilty or not, the optics are all bad here. Like, you aren't the guy for this job. I don't no. Sorry, I don't think this is a good move at all.
John Hill in the chat says domestic violence is worse than sexual misconduct.
Well, sexual misconduct is very broad.
It's very broad.
So,
I think he's probably referring to more just like harassment.
Yeah, perhaps. Like I said, you have to get with the particulars of each case. So I don't know.
With the particulars, and we still have to acknowledge, though usually those two things do not occur in the same spaces. Do you see what I'm saying? Usually when it comes to domestic violence, that involves law enforcement. Yeah. And when it comes to sexual harassment, that's something that usually happens, or any kind of rectification of those situations happens internally with that particular company. Right. And usually law enforcement is not involved. It's two different things. I don't even think we can talk about them in the same breath. Both can be addressed, but I don't think that's something that...
I don't think you can make a blanket statement like one is worse than...
Because they both, both are hideous. Like Jenny says. Jenny,
both are hideous crimes.
Both are hideous. But they happen in two different spaces and have to be addressed in two different ways. They kind of connect to the same thing, but I just think that this conversation is a lot different. I don't think it's something that somebody should have to choose between. I don't. This is not like a truth or dare type situation. True that. But go ahead, man.
So also another member of Congress that has or announced that he's going to retire is Senator Al Franken. On Thursday, on the Senate floor, he gave a speech and announced his intentions to retire in the coming weeks. It's not going to be immediate, and it's looked at that he probably wants to, I guess, still be there for the end of business for the year, and then he'll resign. But yeah, in this speech that he made, he did not offer any further apologies to the people, the women that have come out against him and said that he acted inappropriately or he sexually assaulted them. He said something about how he recognizes the irony that he's leaving while President Trump still has his job, and that the Republican establishment is still backing Senate hopeful Roy Moore to become, the senator from Alabama.
Now, again, that's my problem with all of this. I'm glad that there are some people that whose feet are being held to the fire. I have no problem with that. The issue that I have is I know it's still wide scale, and it's a wide scale problem, and I don't see the culture shifting at all. Maybe it's going to take some time. I just don't see enough of a culture shift. Also, I don't see enough of a let's say an overall accounting for all the men. You know what I'm saying? Because there's way more, and I don't like there being examples set without the other dominoes falling. You know what I'm saying?
Some of his words were a bit surprising, like they befuddling, because he actually called himself a champion of women. This is not the right time, not the right place to call yourself a champion of women.
Yeah, I think
wrong look.
Him being
wrong look, man.
Again, I think him still being in the public eye, he is still concerned about I guess maintaining his credibility and maintaining his reputation. Yes. And I think sometimes it just kicked in at the wrong time. He should just address the issue and then move on.
He didn't. He also repeated earlier statements that not all allegations against him are true. He said that he doesn't believe he did anything that brought dishonor to the institution of the Senate. This was all like yeah, I'm protecting myself without apologizing once again to the victims. So it was a bad look. Again, like just for the simple fact that you called yourself a champion of women. Again, you may feel that about yourself, but you're resigning because of these actions. You're resigning because of these allegations. You can't be a champion of women and be resigning because of this. That doesn't make sense. They don't go together.
Yeah, I'm just like, the thing is, anytime these issues come up, it could be anything. It could be like, sexual misconduct. It could be just general hypocrisy or lying. Usually, I guess, outrage about those things are not based on ethic. It's just based on politics. Right. People were kind of using this as a way to kind of politically initiate outrage, politically initiate division, and not really deal with the problems, like what the source of the problems, what's the source of these problems. And so that's my only problem with all this. It's not really trying to spearhead some sort of culture change. It's just using these situations as some sort of like political spear or some sort of political shotgun. You know what I'm saying? And not using these situations to kind of question our culture and like just
actually change things
and make it like a conversation about ethics. Yeah. But see, that's the problem. If this whole conversation about sexual harassment, sexual misconduct is surrounding ethics, then we have to question all the. It would be out of place, and it would be kind of disingenuous because then we would have to question the ethics of our entire process.
And and that's what we need to do. Not even
just dealing with sexual harassment.
Like, we need to create that kind of environment where, again, we talked about this, where women feel comfortable, they feel safe, that they will come out immediately after something like this happens. Any case of misconduct, inappropriate behavior, harassment, we have to foster that kind of environment. But to do that, we as a people, we as a society have to say that this is unacceptable in our society. And I think what you're saying is that you don't think it's getting like, we're not doing that job.
We're not doing that job. It's just we're using it, like I said, as like a political bludgeoning tool right now. Almost on both sides. Angie said it's toxic patriarchy. I used to like to call it hatriarchy.
Yeah. So as to what's gonna happen to his position, the Minnesota governor Mark Dayton, who is a Democrat, it is looked at that he is likely to replace Franken with his lieutenant governor, a woman by the name of Tina Smith. And if she does take that position, then she will serve out until elections are had in 2018, in November of 2018, and at that time, it will be a full-term position for whoever wins in 2018. So a full term, 6 years. Yeah, another one bites the dust, man. Also, there's another guy, a Republican, who I don't have a lot of information about. This guy's name is Representative Trent Franks. He's a Republican from Arizona, serving in the United States House, and he's expected to resign from Congress. Now, he's been in Congress since 2002, and this is all because of rumors suggesting that he has engaged in some type of inappropriate behavior.
If he's stepping down, then they're more than just rumors. You don't just step down because the existence of rumors. You step down because you're afraid that those rumors will manifest into something more tangible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I wish more would just
step down. Yeah. But because of that, it's going to make news, and it's going to come out anyways. I mean, like, if it was going to come out, it's still going to come out now. Right. He's just probably not going to be in office when it does come out. So
like, again, it's like, in compartmentalizing all this, yes, I can say, oh, it's a good thing. When you compartmentalize it. I had a friend ask me, like, probably on Saturday, this past Saturday, about like will people grow tired of this? Like, will it get old? It's
possible.
Will it, not just that, like, does it just begin and end with certain political figures being taken down by this? Like, what are the lasting consequences, as far as positive consequences of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my only thing. So if we're going to compartmentalize this in and of itself, I could say it's a good thing, but I think compartmentalizing it is not positive, because I think it gets us concentrated on this particular thing and not looking outside of it, and maybe what else it means, and what are other shifts and what are other changes that we have to make. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll tackle something very superficially to give ourselves an excuse not to deal with those larger issues. You know what I'm saying? I just feel in some cases a lot of us are dealing with it so superficially. That's all. I just kind of rather it be more of a comprehensive talk about abuse of power. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Somebody asked about the Lieutenant Governor Tina Smith. It's Tina Smith. Is she a progressive? I have no idea. I don't know too much about Tina Smith at all. So that's something we can look into, but I don't really know what type of Democrat she is. So progressive Democrat, that's something I kind of push back on. Progressive Democrat is kind of like an oxymoron. But anyway, that's who is likely to take his position. So he'll be gone in a few weeks.
Somebody in the comment section said something about people in the United States don't recognize their own power. And I have to agree with that. I do have to agree with that. But I do think the problem with, I guess, this country, and it could be other countries too, but since I live here. We both live here, and I think we have experience in talking to many different type of people. I do think they recognize their power. What I don't think they recognize is their selfishness and their selfish independence. You know what I'm saying? That's what I don't think they recognize, more so than not recognizing their power. I don't think they care about how their actions affect people. I don't think they care about not just the rest of the world, but I honestly think a lot of people, believe me, because I come across a lot of people doing what I do, and so I have to start conversations with people, just being neutral, just trying to get them to talk and open up. It's crazy, like the perspective people have on the world right now. So it's not that people don't recognize their power. I think they just don't care that their decisions have power. I don't think that they care that their attitudes and the consequences of those attitudes have power, and also as a consequence give the people in power I guess more leverage to create these situations where just like people who say, I don't care about Roy Moore, I just don't want to vote for a Democrat.
Right.
That's a lot of people. So obviously they don't care. They obviously they don't care about the people around them to make the right decisions. So it's not about power. It's just about having empathy, and it's about basically not having this kind of selfish attitude.
So you brought up Roy Moore, so let's talk a little bit about him. President Trump has officially endorsed Roy Moore, and in doing so, the RNC, the Republican National Committee, has reversed course because it was several weeks ago that they severed ties with Roy Moore, but now they are back right behind him, supporting his candidacy. So looks like it doesn't matter anymore that he's been accused of child molestation, inappropriate behavior with the girls under the age of consent. Looks like it doesn't matter anymore. It looks like he has the Republican establishment back right behind him. So that's a revelation.
But see, again, that actually connects to what we were talking about, because it's all about winning.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is, and there's plenty of people who support Roy Moore too. And I think it contradicts Jen a little bit. I think she's right on the surface, but she says I think they don't realize what is possible, and that really it is in their control. I don't think that's the case, because like people who support Roy Moore, they are, to me, no different than Donald Trump, because again, Donald Trump only cares about winning, so he doesn't care about ethical missteps.
Well, why would he too, when the same kind of allegations are made about him too?
And again, there are people like who are in support of Roy Moore, believe I've talked to them. They just say you don't know how many people I've talked to that say things like, I just could never vote for a Democrat. So it doesn't matter.
It lets them explain it away.
It lets them explain it away. So regardless of
make excuses
their
for
missteps,
their positions.
Yeah, regardless of their missteps, they will still vote. So I don't think it's about them not recognizing that they have control. I just don't think that they care.
And look, when we were talking about this before, it looked like the Democrat Doug Jones looked like he was going to be gaining steam, and he was possibly going to win this Senate seat. Now that the Republican establishment is back behind Roy Moore, yeah, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that Roy Moore is probably going to win this, and this is just shortly too. This is this month that this election is going to be had. So it looks like he's going to win.
It's crazy, but sometimes like the consequence of somebody getting a lot of publicity, even if it's negative, kind of ends up helping them. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it depends on like the constituency too.
You would think that this would not be one of those sometimes, though, because this is something that had been known about Roy Moore for decades. This is something that people in Alabama knew. Again, how he's banned from the mall, his interaction with the high school, and how they knew about him. This is something that had been talked about. And when the Washington Post was just trying to get some information about him, they got led to this place. that led them to 4 different women that had a story about him. An inappropriate story about him.
You have people. It's like I guess this is a small like microcosm of like essentially how people vote nationally too, or not just state but nationally when it comes to general elections. They don't care how they vote, even if it could destroy the country, which has to do with selfishness. Like I said before, that's selfishness. When you vote for somebody, even if it could potentially destroy your state, your county, and the country, that is selfishness.
And this is a little bit more information about Roy Moore too that we have found out, and we have found this out last week. But back in 2011, Roy Moore co-authored a study course. And this study course was provided by Vision Forum, which is a now defunct evangelical organization, and it was recently obtained by Think Press. And actually, this course can be bought on Amazon, but it instructs students that women should not be permitted to run for elected office, and it says that if women do run for office, that you shouldn't support them at all, and you actually have a moral obligation not to vote for them. They also begrudged the women's suffrage movement. The course is called Law and Government, an Introductory Study Course. Moore is listed as a co-author, and on the website of Vision Forum, it said, quote, egalitarian feminism is a false ideology that has bred false doctrine in the church and seduced many believers.
Seduced many believers.
Many believers. So that makes it.
See, like when these allegations come out, like somebody like behaving in a very sexually, basically a sexually demeaning way towards women, right? Sometimes there's a tendency to go back and look at every little thing they did and like somehow connect it to the current predicament or like the current allegations. I think that's done a little bit too much. They were like, look at this video of him creeping on some woman, or look, I'm like, nah, I don't think you can always go back and look at some regular shit. It may be creepy, but I don't think you can always do that. In this case
in this case looks like a pattern.
It looks like a pattern. Not just, well, I wouldn't say just a pattern, just like an overall attitude of how
overall ideology of what is Roy Moore.
What is Roy Moore? Like, obviously, he doesn't think too highly of women.
No.
Obviously.
And his behavior explains that.
And his behavior explains it, because if you just look at the way he talked to, the allegations of how he talked to some of the young women,
right,
like that did not want to continue with his advances, like what he said to them, and how he said it to them, it makes sense.
Nobody believe
you're nothing.
Right.
So again, it's like, I don't think you can always connect sexism, to sexual harassment. I don't think you can always do that, but in this case, I think it's directly linked to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The head of this Vision Forum, I don't have the guy's first name, but his last name is Phillips. What's ironic is that in 2013, Vision Forum closed because Phillips resigned because he admitted to a, quote, lengthy and inappropriate romantic and affectionate relationship with a woman who was not his wife. So that's a little ironic. The woman ultimately sued him and Vision Forum, and she detailed an emotionally, psychologically, and sexually abusive relationship that started when she was 15 years old. Another inappropriate relationship. And it's connected to Roy Moore. Isn't that a little ironic?
Turds of a feather flock together.
I'm saying, right? Now the specific course that dealt with the case of women, like women they should not be able to run for office, and you shouldn't support them. It was I can't remember what the course was. Oh yeah, I already read the course, Law and Government, an Introductory Study Course. But it was who led the course was a guy named William Einweichter. But Roy Moore got credit for the course as well. He performed work on the course as well, so he's just as culpable for everything that was offered in this course. But Einwachter said, quote, "She's not a warrior. She's not a judge. She's a woman, created by God, glorious in her place and in her conduct and in her role. Nothing is said in scripture that supports the notion that she is qualified or called to be a civil magistrate."
See,
she's not qualified.
See, again, like, because in Roy Moore's mind, women are put here to serve men. Women are put here to serve men's needs. So why would a woman need to be in a position of authority? Why would a woman need a government position where she is activating some sort of authority over a large body of people? Because, you know, then she's in power, and so the roles are switched up a bit. The
lesson teaches that the only roles that women should be in is as a homemaker and a mother. Those are the only roles. Those are the only roles that women are qualified to perform. That's it.
Yeah, women. Again, if he has this ideology that promotes the idea that women are here to serve men, it makes sense that he thinks that he is entitled to sexual attention from women. You see what I'm saying? He's entitled to it. You know what I'm saying? And we're using the word entitled in the negative connotation this time.
Yeah, in this time, yeah. But you know what's interesting? You know that woman that was going to possibly be our first vice president, Sarah Palin? She supports Roy Moore.
That doesn't make sense. I'm telling you, because again, that's one of those, they're voting against their interest fallacies.
Cognitive dissonance.
It's both cognitive dissonance and it's one of those voting against your interest fallacies, because she has a Christian interest.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She has a Christian
interest.
She's
putting something above. She's placing something above his deplorable statements or his deplorable attitude, his deplorable ideology.
Christina, are you talking about the open carry laws? The national open carry laws?
Hold up, man. We're not
No. I was just asking a question. I just want to see if I can get an answer, in time. You can still go on.
But yeah, there was another incident where his actually, and his spokesperson is a woman as well, Jane Porter. And she was recently on CNN. She was being interviewed by Poppy Morgan, or is it Montgomery? I can't remember her last name. But it was a pretty hilarious interview, because you could see all these flexes, all these stretches and positions that his spokesperson Porter was trying to put herself into to kind of excuse Judge Roy Moore's actions and his behavior. She was trying to make it so that all the allegations were not credible. She was asked a direct question on if she believed any of the 8 who have said something, who have accused Roy Moore of doing something inappropriate as it relates to them being underage, and she would not answer the question at all. She didn't answer it whatsoever. So I believe she just got on there just to spread the message, and she even talked about, because Poppy is pregnant right now, and so she used that as a talking point. She said that Roy Moore would protect babies, like unborn babies, like your unborn baby, whereas Doug Jones is supportive of murdering unborn babies. And she said this many times in this interview as well. So like I said, this is all political trickery, and like I said, just trying to excuse his behaviors, and actually just trying to direct the conversation away from it, and just trying to attack the credibility of all these accusers. She did that. She didn't do it very well, but she did it.
But see, I don't. That to me is not surprising, because them trying to kind of make it about something else other than his
Politics 101, man.
Politics 101. But that's interesting what their priorities are, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And she actually she actually said that I can't remember the exact terminology she used, but I think she was talking about she said she was talking about children. She turned the conversation from Roy Moore being a pedophile and harmful of children to Doug Jones harming children by allowing abortion. It was crazy.
But you know what? Honestly, I honestly, I don't want to devalue that, because I think I don't even want to call that a political tactic. I can consider that an actual belief. Like, they actually believe that's true.
Yeah.
You know
But
what I'm saying?
one doesn't have to be true and the other not, though.
No, what I'm saying is, when I say true, I mean, like, they believe that.
Oh yeah,
like,
I have no doubt.
Like, oh no, he's the worst person.
Oh yeah,
because he's pro-choice.
Yeah, well,
you know what I'm saying?
And it's killing.
It's killing.
Yeah. She knows her audience. She knew exactly where to take that conversation. So again, yeah, the election is soon, and we'll soon have a result. You know, we'll see who exactly is going to stay in the Senate. Is it going to be another Democrat, or is it going to be a same Republican making it still 52-48? So we'll have that shortly. Oh yeah, so yeah, let's talk about these California wildfires. California is in horrible shape right now. I believe there are 4 different blazes going on right now. There were 5, but I believe 1 was contained. Now the worst of them is called the Thomas Fire, and about 96,000 acres have been scorched, just burned beyond control. As of early Thursday, the Thomas Fire was about 5% contained. So this is all because of the dry weather that is in California, because of the dry foliage, because of the low levels of humidity. They don't know, well, it hasn't been said exactly what started these blazes, but like I said, there's 4 of them that they're working against right now. And along with the Thomas Fire, another one is called the Skirball Fire, and that's just northwest of the LA metropolis area. Another one's called the Rye Fire, and the other one is the Creek Fire. So tens of thousands of people have been evacuated. Now winds are expected to increase, and so firefighters, they believe they have no chance against these fires because these winds are expected to reach the level of a Category 1 hurricane. We're talking about like 80 miles per hour winds. So when you're talking about dry weather and you're talking about high winds, they have no chance. Now there's a lot of firefighters out there, you know, trying to contain these blazes, but again, if these winds just keep up, they don't really have a chance in the world of actually containing them. So I think they're supposed to die down by Friday, the winds at least, to where they can actually make some headway. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a horrible situation. Again, there's multiple homes that have been burned, tens of thousands of people evacuated. It started on Monday, and it grew to more than 15 square miles in just a few hours. Again, it's
Independent Outsider. I think they do use. Well, I know they use some prison workers. They've already been doing that.
So. And some other fires, they were doing that in Montana and in Northern California as well. They were doing that. So now I have seen some. I've seen some questions about these fires. I've seen some questions because of the pictures, I guess. I don't know about the videos maybe, but because of the pictures, because some cars and metal structures and some porcelain were just, on fire, but some trees nearby weren't. So it's being called into question, like
the legitimacy
of the footage, and I guess of the fires. But like, we know that the fires are taking place. It's like, if you're gonna call into question how this happened, who would have a motive to start these fires? Like, who would have the motive to start these fires? Because if you're going to talk about wildfires, then you're probably going to talk about climate change, right? And you're going to talk about how
that's why. Because I think certain people who do that know that's where the conversation is going, so they have to do anything to derail the conversation going there. So the motive behind that would be, I've heard this, like, somebody's being hired to set these fires to make it look like X is an issue. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the motive would be.
Could they sell that to the mainstream?
You can sell any. I don't think you can sell that.
The mainstream doesn't like conspiracy theories.
No, but I think you can sell that to enough people to kind of shift the conversation in those kind of independent media spaces, which is really not that difficult.
Yes,
those conversations can be led by the nose the same way those conversations in the mainstream media do. So
no doubt. But again, yeah, look, it's still going on, and especially the Thomas Fire. The Thomas Fire is roughly the size of Denver. You've been to Denver?
Yes, I have.
Anyway, but yeah, it's a huge fire that has not been contained, and it's going to cause more destruction. And hopefully the firefighters out there working tomorrow, Friday, will be able to make some headway once some of these winds subside. Stay abreast of what's going on.
I wish they were getting the weather we have over there.
Exactly. It's humid here.
It's
always humid.
It's always humid, and right now it's cold and wet.
Yes. So
I wish we could switch. You know what I'm saying? I wish we could do some sort of like weather transformation
for a minute, right? You know for a minute.
Yeah, just for a minute.
Just for a minute.
I wish I could shift this weather over there.
It's actually supposed to do some like kind of wet snow or something tonight.
Yeah, it looks like it's already doing it.
All right. Christina says, yeah, we need to get global climate change back on the agenda. Can't get that back on the agenda with the Trump administration.
Yeah, because they're looking to take some of the funds away from, renewable energy research.
Clean
energy research.
But not taking any funds away from
taken away from
oil.
Fossil fuel companies.
No,
like they're definitely trying to kneecap progress.
Yeah. Pulling out of the Paris Agreement. This is all on the agenda to say that I don't care about climate change. What I care about is big business. I care about the industry, which is the fossil fuel industry, and making sure that they stay prosperous. I mean, that's what it is. They don't care about renewable energy. Sorry.
Again,
if they did, they would have stayed in that Paris Agreement, because we are the only country that's outside looking in. It's an embarrassment.
This mug is like we're going to be like progressing. Like we're going to be in the dark ages.
Also, recently, President Trump officially declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel, foregoing decades of U.S. Diplomacy. It's never been done, you know, and it's looked at as a very poor decision. I guess some people believe that it's the right decision to make, but a lot of people in the international community believe that this is going to incite violence, and it was not the appropriate time to do so. But Trump said that he indicated that the plan is still to eventually create a two-state solution. He supports a two-state solution, so none of his comments said that, you know, got in the way of that. He also indicated that the plan is going to be to eventually move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So, again, this is a very controversial position to take that no other president has taken in decades, and it's because of what's going on over there, because of the turmoil that has been going on there for decades. Now, we know that the prime minister Benjamin Netanyahu his approval of this decision because he wants Jerusalem to be the capital city. He wants it to be declared. He wants it to be official that Jerusalem is the capital city of Israel. But people in the international community don't feel like this time is appropriate, and I have to agree as well for a lot of different reasons. One, we have to recognize that Israel is still in violation of international law as it pertains to the settlements. Correct?
Right.
They're still in violation of international law. Now, the problem with Jerusalem is that Palestinians and people of Israel, they both claim Jerusalem as their capital city. They both have ties to it.
Yeah, but it's like divided into east and
east and west. Yeah, so West Jerusalem is where the Parliament of Israel is, and it's also where the Prime Minister's home is. Now, and that's been under control from 1949, since 1949. Now, in 1967, I believe, is when they captured West Jerusalem.
Right.
No, East Jerusalem. Yeah, they captured East Jerusalem in 1967, and so it's looked at that territory right now is occupied territory. So what the Palestinians want is, in this two-state solution, they want to be able to control West Jerusalem. They want that to be the capital city. Israel can have East Jerusalem.
Now, Trump did not say anything about a divided capital.
He didn't say that it's the undivided capital of Israel. So it's still like
open.
He
wasn't definitive. I think
he
was just trying to fulfill like a campaign promise or something.
Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Good buddy Netanyahu or something.
But see, I think the problem is like, regardless of if he was fulfilling a campaign promise. Mm-hmm. You know, because this seems to Trump, it's just more ceremonial to him.
Yes.
The problem is it's not going to be for Israel, and it's not going to be for Netanyahu.
Exactly.
Netanyahu is definitely not going to see this as some sort of like ceremonial thing. You know what I'm saying? He's more of a right wing.
Yes, he is right wing.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Yeah. So
and he's always said it's like Jerusalem. Like he wants it to be very, represented by one group of people.
Right. So yeah, he and these talks that they've had with Palestinians, Jerusalem is a no-go. He has not intimated that Jerusalem can be included in these talks, in this two-state solution. No, Jerusalem to him has to be under control. All of Jerusalem has to be under control of Israel. So again, that's one sticking point. Another sticking point is the settlements, because they have continued to build settlements like I said, in violation of international law, and they don't want to give up that property. When they do have these talks, they start from the land that they have already built settlements on that, like I said, was in violation of international law. And again, like, Palestinians don't appreciate that. So these talks never go anywhere. And I think by President Trump making this decision to officially declare Jerusalem as the capital city of Israel, one, it puts us into it. Like, we weren't already in it, but that it further puts us at risk of violence, doesn't it? Like, why would you be so arrogant to make this decision? I believe the only reason to make this decision is in the talks of a two-state solution. You don't make that decision beforehand, because there's still controversy going on. There's still an argument over this territory.
Yeah, but I do think the argument over that territory is kind of largely I guess, being dominated by a particular right-wing prime minister.
No doubt.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
No doubt.
So a lot of like our perspective on what's going on there and what the people want there is kind of being guided by what we hear him say. And again, he is a right-wing voice. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, you know, people should understand that, like, these cities kind of are a representative of the three major monotheistic religions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think the attitude of the people there kind of should be separated from the attitude of maybe like a right-wing despot. You know what I'm saying? A right-wing, somebody with a right-wing attitude. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think this was a bad time to do it. Like, I mean, I don't think this was appropriate because one, there's two sides here, of course, right? And there's violence on both sides. Violence that I don't agree with on either side. But don't you think that this would increase the likelihood of more violence?
Also, yeah, and it would increase the unlikelihood of Netanyahu ramping up his, I guess, aim to divide the state of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he wants to. When I say divide, I mean like, I guess, attitudinal divisions. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He kind of likes to. He likes to do that in order to create conflicts between the groups of people who do want peace, right? And I think the majority of people in Israel do want a two-state solution. You know what I'm saying? But just like America, the people usually don't get what they want.
True. See, you know like you have to approach this conversation in a like we're not talking about people of Israel. We're talking about Netanyahu, mm-hmm. you know, and President Trump, mm-hmm. and what this decision is likely to do. I think it's going to ramp up the violence, and it's going to make us a target. And
it makes us a target because again, both of those individuals are trying to appeal to the most kind of rhetorically toxic group. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to appeal to the most rhetorically toxic group, and that's the religious fanatic base, both there and here in America. You know what I'm saying? Because people like to talk about Zionism all the time, when most of the Zionists you speak of are probably Christians. You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk about the attitude of a Zionist, right, but not include Christians who kind of promote it, then so what? So where's your focus? Why is your focus on just Jewish Zionists per se, and your focus is not on Christians who tend to promote this apartheid state? You know what I'm saying? To see their, I guess, religious, revelations fulfilled, because that's what a lot of it comes from. You know what I'm saying? That's where a lot of American Christians get their support for Israel from, because of these revelations that they want to see transpire. To me, those are Zionists, in my opinion.
Look, like I said, we'll see what this decision, you know, what's made of this decision. You know, what the results are specifically there, what the results are abroad, you know, like, you know, outside of that location. I just don't know. Like I said, I just think it's a very, it's not a good look. I don't think it's a good look. I think it was very inappropriate. This wasn't the time. This wasn't the time. Like I said, it's just gonna, I believe all it can do is ramp up violence.
No, I agree.
If Trump wants to stick his nose into it, how about appeal for a two-state solution? How about actually work to get that done, instead of saying that, hey, Jerusalem is now we're officially recognizing it as the capital, instead of doing that that comes later.
Because that's not actually doing anything. I think you know that. You know what I'm
saying?
True. Because that's not actually...
It's empty. It's an empty gesture.
It's an empty gesture, but again, he's not the type of person that will see the consequences of such an empty gesture.
Right.
He doesn't see that. He doesn't have, I guess, the mental capacity to do that. That's not... Because he's just about himself. So he's just going to do something to make himself look like he is doing something.
Yeah, like he did. He didn't do nothing. All right, moving on. Oh yeah. So we've talked about the DNC Unity Reform Commission before. We've talked about how earlier, some weeks back, they met in Vegas, and I can't even remember that woman's name, but she was talking about how we need these super delegates.
Oh, no, man!
I can't remember her name.
I can't remember her name either.
I can't remember her name. But anyway,
they know the candidates,
because we played a clip. They know the candidates, and they you know, like we don't know the candidates like they do. So we need to listen to them.
They have the inside track.
We can be lied to.
Yeah, yeah.
But they know the real deal.
Because he said voters can be manipulated.
Exactly. Anyway, that's the Unity Reform Commission that we're talking about. So recently, the Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez and Representative Keith Ellison, who is the DNC Vice Chair, they penned an op-ed for CNN, and they endorsed changes to the party's superdelegate system. They said, quote, "The superdelegate system undermines the Democratic Party's commitment to racial and gender equity and underrepresents the younger voters, forming the future of the party." Well, that's quite the statement, because they found the time to talk about racial and gender equity. That was a very impactful statement.
Nah. No, you know what? I'm not gonna be fooled by that bull crap. No
oh,
more.
Come on, Mike. Man.
Stop it. That is not the problem. That is actually not the problem, because I do
not
think
as it relates to superdelegates.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that helps. But I don't think superficial diversity helps. Diversity in these superficial phenotypes doesn't help if those people who have different phenotypes have the same kind of politics, and they kind of use that identity politics to weaponize their brand of politics, their establishment politics. So yeah, you might have diversity on the surface, people who look differently, but they still carry that same torch. So yeah, I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Primaries even got started. Hillary Clinton had the large share of them, and Bernie had so
what you're saying?
That much.
So what do you have to say about them reducing the amount?
Yeah. So look, obviously, I'm being facetious here. If they're going to say that, hey, something's wrong with this process, something's wrong with the superdelegate system, what we need to do is significantly reduce these numbers so that, I guess, for fairness, so that we approach this in a fair way for the Democratic primary system. But that just doesn't hold weight to me, because, or hold water, is if you find a problem with this process, and you find so much of a problem with this process that you're saying that the number of superdelegates needs to be significantly reduced. Well, if it's such a damn problem, why wouldn't you just completely eliminate it altogether?
Because if they eliminated it altogether, it would balance the playing field.
Oh, and they don't want to balance the playing field.
They don't want to balance.
So why even write the letter?
Because they want to give the impression that they're seeking some sort of reform. That's all. Because I don't even know why. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that.
Yo, man,
you know that, because they're trying to I guess provide some sort of cover. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to provide some sort of cover, so that it doesn't look like they're trying to favor the more elite candidate,
right?
The elitist of candidates. They're just trying to do whatever they can to make it optically look like it's legitimate. You don't go halfway.
See, look. See, what we're we're affected by corruption, right? We can't tolerate it, right? Now, there are some people who can't tolerate dairy products, right? Now, do you significantly reduce the dairy intake, or do you cut it out?
That's what I'm saying. If you're allergic to something, you say, you know what? I know this, whatever I'm eating, I know it doesn't, when I eat it, I break out into hives, or I know I just start my butthole blows up,
right?
I know my eyes start swelling up, whatever inside my mouth.
It causes some type of irritation,
something like it might get bloated. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just eat half the amount.
Yeah,
that's gonna solve the problem.
No. You're going to experience the same symptoms, aren't you?
So if crack is bad,
little crack's still bad.
Little crack's still bad.
And little corruption is still bad.
A little corruption is still bad. There's no such thing as a little corruption.
Exactly, right? There's no such thing as a little corruption. It either is or it isn't, right? There's no limit to it. But that's what the Democratic National Committee wants to do. They want to look like they're doing the right thing for the people so that what? You vote for them in 2018 and in 2020.
Again, so that's what it boils down to. They're just trying to make sure they get the votes.
That's it. What we said that about Hillary Clinton, right? Like votes matter, right?
Again, because that kind of that.
They don't care about people. They care about votes.
One of the first instances of that is when they just rode on Bernie's coattails for single pair, and we knew what was going to happen.
Yep. And all optics. That's
all
it.
Optics, and so that definitely didn't work. And then what they go to? We admit that the primaries were rigged. Once that they figured out that that didn't work, what they do? They backtrack. It's like, damn, that didn't work. Like we didn't have to get no more support. Never mind. They weren't rigged.
Yeah.
And so now
they're just trying. They're just
trying to they're just grasping their straws. Okay, we'll reduce the delegates by half, and then people are not responding to that too. So I'm wondering what's going to be their next little bag. What's in their bag of tricks next?
They ain't gonna give us what we really want. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna keep grasping at these straws so that they can uphold the corruption. Oh,
so that bag of tricks. And so what they do is
unlimited, man.
They stick their hand down in their elbows. Like, wait a second. Impartial primary process. Hold on. Let me get something. Ha! Look what we got here. Oh, you don't want that? Okay, let me dig in my bag for something.
Bag of tricks.
Single pair. Let me see what we still got here. Oh, we got something else for you. Oh, you don't want that either? Let's go back in. You know what I'm saying? So it's
all a game, man. Political theater. That's what it is, man. And they keep playing the game, man. And what's bad is that the constituency keeps allowing them to. Like the only way to get out of the system is to not let them do what they do.
See,
that's the only way to get out of this.
See, that's what.
It's on us to do that.
Yeah, and see,
it's the only way.
No. Say it again.
It's on us to do that.
See, that's the thing. Like, so the mob rule. Who's really the mob? So when we say like we live in a mob system, that's true.
True.
But that's only half the truth.
Who actually has the power?
So
like who actually has the power?
So who's the mob? That's the point we are trying to make. Yes,
if we actually formed a mob, like we actually were a organized mob, what could we actually do? We could actually reform this society.
We'll let you know, John. We ain't ignoring you. We saw that. We saw you ask. About 30 minutes ago. We did see that, but we'll give you a chance. But yeah, the mob is not just the individuals in power, and I guess them. I'll use a word. Usurping.
Ponzi scheme.
Like that's true, but that's only half of the truth.
Just has to, that you're not explaining the whole story.
Yeah. You know, like a government run by lobbyists. True. A government that is kind of beholden to the most powerful. Yes.
But who's allowing that to happen?
Again, if we're allowing that, the other half of that mob is the people.
Right.
So again, if these people don't care other than being on a particular side, they're winning side.
See, the differences between the two mobs is that one mob is very well organized and they're together on what they want to accomplish, and they get that done very effectively. The other mob, which is us, we are terribly unorganized, and we are not together. That's the reason why we don't get what we want. Until we do that, like I said, it's all on us. We've said that. I mean, we've said that back to 2015. We all know that if we all are together on a unified purpose, on a unified path, then what can stop us? Really, nothing can actually stop us because we hold the power. We put these people in office. But to actually like control things, then you have to actually, I guess, reform what button you push when elections come up. Like who you circle in on the ballot. You have to kind of change that, and you know, it's just people aren't ready to do that.
So you can't like just hold the government's feet to the fire.
Nah,
you can't just we can't just just accuse them of being the mob. You know what I'm saying? We got to kind of if the people aren't held responsible, then it all means nothing.
You know, let's go to the NFL, man. So recently, this was late last Wednesday, a group of NFL players and the NFL itself agreed in principle on a plan to address social justice issues that are considered important to the African American communities. So this group of NFL players have been led by Malcolm Jenkins and Anquan Boldin. Malcolm Jenkins is a current player for the Philadelphia Eagles. Anquan Boldin is a former player. And they led a group of about 40 players that wanted something to be done. And they got something done. So the league is expected to contribute $89 million over 7 years to projects dealing with criminal justice reform, law enforcement, community relations, and education. That's per ESPN. So, on the national level, owners this year will allocate $5 million, with their commitment growing annually and maxing out at $12 million per year from 2021 through 2023. The agreement calls for national funds to be allocated accordingly: 25% to the United Negro College Fund, 25% to Dream Corps, and 50% to the Players Coalition, which has filed 501c3 and 501c4 paperwork for nonprofit status as a fiscally sponsored project. So there has been a little bit of there's been a little bit of controversy about this agreement that was reached, because there were several players that were involved with the negotiations with the NFL that backed away from the group, the player group. Those players are Eric Reed, who's the San Francisco 49er safety, San Diego Chargers tackle Russell Okung, and Miami Dolphins safety Michael Thomas. They all quit the collaboration, or they all quit the coalition, and they're going to continue protesting the national anthem. Now, when you hear their grievances, they were disturbed with the way this all unfolded. They felt like they were being misled and how this whole thing was
some of the conversations,
how it came together.
Some of the conversation took place without them.
Yes, and that wasn't something that they agreed to. They all wanted to be a part of these conversations, and so that they got to an agreement without them, they felt like, look, we're being misled, and we don't like this whole process. Also, I believe it was Eric Reed that said that he was notified about it by Malcolm Jenkins, and Jenkins asked him if he would quit his protest. Now, in the language of this agreement, it doesn't call for the ending of the protest, but that's expected, of course.
See, and that's the thing. There's no way that the NFL would kind of tip its hand.
No.
There's no way that they want to make it look like that 89 mil is some sort of quid pro quo.
Right.
But I mean, like, I want to talk about that. Like, what is that? Like, what does that 89 million mean?
Like I said, it's going to go through. It's going to go to.
Like, what is that 89 million? Like, no,
it's going to go to, like I said, it's going to go to these nonprofit organizations. It's going to go to charitable organizations. And look, that's good. I understand that's good, because, hey, yo, man, whoever's calling, man, you got to stop for right now, okay? Because we're in the middle of the show. We're going to let you know when it's okay to when it's okay to call. But yeah, that 89 million, it's good that this. All right, just close it out. Just close it out. It's good that that money is gonna go to a good cause, because again, like these organizations do need money, because they do good work in our societies. So that's good. The problem I have with this is that public? Because the whole thing about the protest, the kneeling for the national anthem, is that it was provocative. It forced you to be aware of what was going on. It forced you, or it was trying to force you, to deal with the actual issues that they were trying to address. It was put right in your face. That's why we're having a conversation about this. But if they're ending those protests and now saying, like, okay, well, we got 89 million, it looks like you just took the money and you ran.
Yeah, it looks
and
like,
you're ending your protest, and that's all we're going to hear of it now.
It looks like it appears as if it's a good gesture, but the pessimistic bones in my body are just like,
yeah, I know,
like, are just shaking right now, because I want to know, what social justice activist groups is the money going to go to? How vocal is the NFL going to be in regard to social justice? Is it going to be just like they're writing a check and, you know, they're just kind of like, hey, here's a check, but they're not going to publicly address things that these players wanted to and things like that? Right. Like, is it going to be, hey, we're just going to, you know, put our money, but we're not going to put our mouth. Like, yeah, we're just going to hand you a check. And it's like, the problem isn't that there's not enough organizational funds for protesting and, you know, like demonstrating. The problem is we don't have enough top-down participation, right, for social justice reforms. Exactly.
But see, and that's the point. That's the exact point, because when you do these protests, when you're on the field, you're kneeling when the national anthem is being played. Like I said, that's very provocative. It slaps you right in the face. You can't ignore it. That's why President Trump has weighed in. That's why all these Republicans have weighed in. All these people saying that, oh, it's unpatriotic. That's why they're weighing in, because it slaps you right in the face. You're forced to take a look at it. If you take the money, you cut and run, and you're foregoing all further protests. How is it that these social issues are going to be addressed now? Because whenever something actually gets done in this country, like whenever change is actually made, it's because people got uncomfortable.
People got uncomfortable, and so they're trying to kind of, again, like, it just seems as if what they're doing is counterintuitive to social justice, because they're trying to, like, almost pacify the need for people not to feel uncomfortable. And to me, this is investment in them and not in social justice, because it's an investment to recoup or maintain their market. Their market share. That's all it's an investment in, because you know good and well, like I said, the problem isn't that there's not enough organizers, there's not enough demonstrations, there's not enough protests. It's just there's not enough investment from the top down. And there's too many built-in incentives.
Are there going to be commercials? Like, are there going to be televised events with owners, with the league office, that are addressing these concerns that these players are raising awareness to?
I'll take it further. Like, if they really cared about social justice, they'd kind of push some money and invest some money into social justice candidates, such as like governors, mayors,
back campaigns, huh?
Yeah, they would invest some money into the campaigns for social justice candidates. I'm talking about mayors, governors, sheriffs, DAs, judges. Yes. If they really cared about social justice, they would. And you know how much money they have to do that?
Oh, come on.
They can put it on blast on all the networks. Right. So if they really cared about social justice, they would go in that direction.
But they're just trying to make this issue go away. If you, like you said, if they actually cared about social justice, then you would recognize that you need to put it in front of America's eyes. You can't just hand a check to these different organizations and say, here, do some good work. No, they're going to be ignored on the national scene. They're going to be ignored. Like, the message is lost. It's gone now, because the players aren't doing anything about it anymore. So that's why it was so important to do this on the national stage, so that these issues can be addressed and we as a society can actually talk about them and make changes. But again, if you just hand a check out to different organizations, I'm sure that they're going to put the money to good use. Or at least I hope that they will.
Yeah.
But as it relates to actually changing things in this country,
things in law enforcement from the top down,
89 million ain't gonna get it done.
89 million ain't gonna get it done. And
that's a drop in the bucket, man.
89 million just to make, I guess the counter revolution louder is really going to be a drop in the bucket.
Yes.
And it's not just a drop in the bucket because of the amount of money. It's a drop in the bucket because it doesn't put pressure on the institutions to change. You have to put pressure on the institutions to change.
Right.
And right now, there's not enough pressure because they have too many built-in incentives that perpetuate the problems we see.
They know what they're doing, man. Here's some money, go away. Here's some money, stop protesting the national anthem.
No.
They know exactly what they're doing.
No, they do know. They do know. They do know exactly.
And I hated that this group of players are saying that, you know what? Hey, we won. We got something. You didn't win a damn thing.
Again, I don't necessarily think that, you know, we're not trying to say that these players, you know, are in on it. I just think that they may not have enough foresight to see that they were played. And they may not have enough foresight to see what it actually is going to take for these institutions to be held responsible. And they got, again, the people that, unfortunately, the majority of people that want to hold these institutions to, you know, responsible and take them to task, they're not in positions of power. And that's the problem. So there has to be a money invested to get people in positions of power, so that we can hold their feet to the fire.
See, what was the original goal? Like we have to think about what the original goal was. It was to raise awareness, right? It was to talk about police brutality. It was to talk about inequalities here in America. How does paying $89 million to the United Negro Fund, how does that get that done? That doesn't do it. All it does is say that we're going to stop raising awareness on these issues. It doesn't get the job done. That wasn't the goal.
It's almost like that very busy, wealthy parent that doesn't spend time with their kids, right? And then when a problem comes up, what do? They just throw money at them and thinking it's going to fix it.
Yes.
That's what that feels like. That's what it feels like.
Johnny Manziel.
Of course, that was good reference because it's a football. It's a football situation.
This is terribly disappointing, man. Like I said, the players that broke away from this coalition, I believe, did the right thing because
they recognize
they recognize the problems with this agreement and that it does not achieve the goal of what they wanted to get done.
It does not achieve it, and it doesn't look like obviously it's not going to be something that is going to have some sort of immediate consequence. But even looking down the road, you know that going about it in this way is really not going to cause a big dent in the, you know what I'm saying? It's just really not.
Again, like I said, this is terribly disappointing. And, you know, as you know, let's talk about a little bit what could be connected to that. We talked about police brutality. Today, on Thursday, former South Carolina police officer Michael Slager was sentenced for his murder of Walter Scott. This happened back in 2015, where he killed the 50-year-old Scott. He was hold on. Excuse me. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, this is after the 2016 trial that was hung. It was declared a mistrial. A mistrial. Now, if anybody has seen the video, we're not going to play the video right now, but I'm sure most people have seen this video and where Officer Slager shot Walter Scott in the back as he was leisurely sauntering away. Okay. Now, again, so that 2016 case, it was a mistrial, and they had planned to go forward with a retrial. But Officer Slager, he pleaded guilty, and they sentenced him today to 20 years. Now, his wife told the judge, this is a quote, "He had to make a decision in a split second. I couldn't imagine having to make a decision that fast."
Okay, now this is his wife. And
I understand.
This is his wife. So
I understand that.
Obviously, you don't want.
Is she blind?
There's going to be no. I think she knew what she saw. But again, I don't know how long they've been married, but probably a while. You don't want. Nobody wants to accept the fact that their spouse is a murderer.
A murderer.
Nobody would want to accept that.
I understand.
She probably loves this dude. So how do you deal with that? How do you still love somebody? How do you still love a murderer? You have to come up with excuses to make him not seem.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You can be real about it. You can say that he made a mistake. He made a bad decision. You don't have to say that it was a split second decision, because on that video, That was not a split-second decision.
Well, what you're saying,
like I said, he sauntered away from Officer Slager.
Well, see, maybe we saw it in super slow-mo. Maybe it was a split second. But see, that doesn't... See, again, if you're just looking at it from when he got shot, you still can't make that argument. But there was more to it than that.
Oh, yeah, what happened?
He planted evidence.
He planted evidence.
And then kicked it next to him. So, is that a split-second decision?
That's not a...
You can't be like...
That's purposeful.
Plant evidence. Gotta plant evidence.
Because in his mind, he's like, "Whoa, hold on, I gotta kind of explain this away, right?"
Yeah. That's not a split-second decision. That's premeditated. Yeah. You don't plant something. You don't plant evidence in a split. That's not a split-second decision. That's a conscious decision.
Look, Walter Scott was 50 years old now. Okay, now I hope that when I'm 50 years old, I'm very spry. I'm very because my son's gonna be a teenager by then. I hope that I'm able to still beat him in basketball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I hope to be very still athletic. Walter Scott was not athletic.
Walter Scott.
He was not athletic.
It looked like he was running with one leg.
Again, to say he was leisurely strolling,
it looked like one leg
may be going too far.
Was 50% in use.
Yes, the dude was not getting away from an officer. I don't care what officer it is. He wasn't getting away. So there was no reason to shoot him in the back and to shoot. I mean, there was no reason for this whatsoever. The fact that we even had a mistrial, like a hung jury, I mean, is beyond my mind, beyond my comprehension. But fortunately, he is going to face some punishment. This is one officer, luckily, that is going to face some punishment for their actions, for their reprehensible actions, and he's going to be in jail for at least 20 years. So that's a plus.
Yeah, that's a plus. I know that if he wasn't a cop, he'd be going away for a lot longer.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least there's
something. And it wouldn't have been a hung jury either.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to mention too is there's a new poll that was released today, Thursday, and it has shown that President Trump's approval rating has hit a new low. So the Pew Research Center poll finds that just 32% of Americans approve of how he is handling his job as president of the United States of America.
People ask, like, how can that be possible? And he won the election. That's because you're not accounting for the people who didn't vote still have an opinion on his current job.
Yeah, and you're not counting for the people that begrudgingly voted for him. There were so many people look, we're in a deep red state. There were many people that could not stand both of them, but they couldn't find it in themselves to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Right.
They didn't like Trump at all. So that was a situation where they're still, I guess they can still remain objective to how Donald Trump is actually handling his responsibilities as president. So he won. Yeah, he had the support of, well, not the majority because he did lose the popular vote, but like I say, he got enough delegates, or he got enough that he won. But when you're talking about the millions of people that voted for him, there's a large number of those people that did not approve of him in 2016 either. They just, like I said, they made the mental calculus that said that, hey, I guess he's going to be better than, or at least I'm hopeful that he's going to be better than Hillary Clinton. In the same poll, it found that 63% of Americans say that they disapprove. So this poll was conducted from November 29th to December 4th, and it was just over 1,500 respondents in the poll. So, remember what I said before? The pain is coming.
The pain is coming.
The pain's coming. And you know what?
But see, the problem is the pain, even though it's coming, I don't have enough confidence that when the pain comes, it's going to be blamed on the right people. Because again, what their pain was being blamed on, as far as not even during the campaign, but I guess for the most part of how the politicians that serve them have been, appealing to them.
Right.
They've always blamed their pain on Mexicans, Muslims, black people.
Right.
That's how they got their vote. I don't think it's going to be much different when the actual pain comes and who's responsible. Those same people are going to be blamed, because if they were blamed as a way to get their vote, they're going to be blamed when, you know, the shit hits the fan too. Mm-hmm. That's why I know it's going to happen.
What's interesting about this poll too is that, you know how in these polls, even though they're low, Republican support is always high still. You know, they're still high of Trump. Back in February, the Republicans, or the poll found that 84% of Republicans still favored Donald Trump. They still believed that he was doing a good job. Well, this poll finds that number down to 76% of Republicans that approve of the way he's handling his responsibilities. So it's not low, but it's low for
people who voted for him.
It's low for Republicans. You know, like I said, partisan respondents. You know, like if this was a poll about a Democrat, the Democratic respondents are going to overwhelmingly support that Democratic politician, and the same way with the Republican politician. And 84% is very high. That's it's not the highest that it probably should be, but it's still high. That is down to 76%. I would think that would cause some worry.
Cause some worry, yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I already know the pain's coming. It's going to be coming for those Republicans as well. So we'll see if his poll numbers even tank even further than that.
I really want to see who they're going to scapegoat, because you know it's coming. That's going to be the biggest reveal I want to see. Who are they going to scapegoat?
Who's going to take that hit?
Who's going to take that hit?
I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. Let's go to.
We are going to wait for it.
Wait for it.
We are going to start taking calls within the next 10 seconds. All right.
So look,
that
we don't know.
Is finally available.
We don't know who was calling, but we appreciate that you want to be involved in the conversation.
Apparently, reading some of the comments, it might have been
John.
No, it might have been Savage
Dave
Progressive.
What?
Yeah, it might have been Savage Progressive. That's kind of. She admitted it, but maybe she was playing. But it would that seemed like something she would do, to keep calling and calling. That sounded like something she would do to see if it's something we'd pick up.
But yeah, the problem is that, look, we don't have a producer, okay? We don't have anybody behind the scenes that is navigating this whole process. So it's very difficult for us to take a call in the process of the show, in the regular process of the show, because one, we don't know what you're calling about. So if we're talking about something different that we're still talking about, it's hard for us to take that question when you might be wanting to talk about something else. So that's not something that we can do. As of right now, we have to make it so that it's a separate environment for the calls, like after we're actually done dealing with all the issues that we need to handle. So like I said, once we get another pair of hands on this, maybe somebody behind the scenes that can actually take the calls and, you know, kind of weed out, like, you know, who's calling about what, is this appropriate for the conversation that we're having, then we can open up for the whole show, the whole duration of the show.
So if the
appreciate that, VQ.
Yeah. So if you want to call in and you have something to say, question,
right?
You maybe have
yes, we have the time now.
To share, we have the time.
We have the time.
We'll give you, 5-10 minutes or however long.
Yeah,
maybe we'll go in the chat and see if there's anything of importance that somebody may have mentioned that we want to talk about. But for the most part, I've seen. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there's one. All right, caller, welcome to LTMB Live. Did the caller hang up? I think the caller hung up. You can call him back. That'd be funny.
I know. Don't make us call you back.
Don't make us call you back.
We'll call
I never saw that option before. I guess it's I haven't looked at it before, but that would be funny. Hey, this is LTMB. Somebody call. But that was
disconnected.
Yeah, that was somebody that called before. I remember seeing the number.
Come on now, don't be scared.
Yeah, you called a few times. So what's up?
Don't back out now. You got a chance to.
There we go. Hello, caller. This is LTMB live. Yeah, for some reason the call keeps ending.
You know, that's what you're supposed to click, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, every time we try to pick up the call, it just says call ended.
You're using the middle one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. No. Call ended. Let's restart it.
Yeah, we're gonna restart Skype because it's every time we try to pick up a call, it ends it.
How you log out this thing though?
So we're gonna
I don't even know how you log out of this. There you go. We're gonna sign out and then sign back in. Cause for some, and you know, a question. I don't remember the viewers being able to hear the ringing before.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the ringing of the calls before?
Yeah, so anybody in the chat,
or is it something new?
Chat section, let us know if y'all ever were able to hear when someone was actually calling.
Because I don't remember anybody ever say anything about that before.
Maybe somebody is messing with us.
All right, well, true, we did not hear the ringing before.
See how stuff just changes up without. Yeah, y'all did not hear the ringing before tonight. That is weird. That's weird. That's very weird.
Yeah, I don't understand why that
And then the actually ringing sounds much different too.
It does.
The ringing sound is like a drop. It's like boop, boop.
I mean, we could mute that, but we never had to mute that before.
Yeah, we never had to mute that before.
Interesting.
Maybe is that the same number?
Yes, but that's not us. See, because it just got disconnected.
It got disconnected.
We didn't even pick up that time.
We didn't pick up that time. It started ringing and then it went away.
Yeah, that's not us. Could anybody hear that that ringing? Because I muted it, so you shouldn't be able to hear it now. Just rang 15 times. Yeah. So go ahead, try again.
That must have been independent outsider. Yeah, try again, because every time it either disconnects or every time we hit the pickup option, it just disconnects automatically. Somebody don't want us talking to our people. Maybe it's Putin in them.
Yeah, nobody's heard the ringing before today.
Yeah, see, that's weird. That's weird. It's your grandma calling.
Do I need to connect through Skype? You need to call. Well, I mean, you need to just call. All right. Ended.
Yeah, when we pick up, it just says call ended every time you need to call. Yeah.
Did anybody hear that calling? Because it's muted, so you shouldn't be able to hear the ringtone now.
Yeah, and they're saying no.
Now it says it's busy. Maybe this is a problem with Skype.
Yeah, that has to be a problem with Skype because we've never had this before. It's not definitely. That's a different number. That does like V cubed. Yep, it's a different number, so that's the problem with Skype then because that's a different number.
Interesting.
I think that was V cubed. So yeah, it's a different number and it's doing the same thing. There's nothing that we've changed about the settings. So
I wonder if
That's a different number too.
No, that's wifey.
Oh.
No, it ended.
So there's 3 different numbers that I've tried to call.
So something's wrong with the account then.
Yeah, there might be something wrong with
and Skype credit.
But that's
no, that's not the same
That's
thing.
not the same thing. That's something else. That's something about messages.
Yeah. Where do you go to
What if it worked if we called somebody?
Huh, let's try that. Not gonna work. No. Dang. No recent conversations. Hold on, let's see something. Manage account. You have call ID, you have Skype number, okay. Okay. Next payment will be taken. So it shouldn't be that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the account. We're looking at the account details, and there's nothing wrong with the account.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe it didn't take the payment or something like that, but no, it's on automatic.
So everything is straight.
Yeah, it's on automatic. All this should work.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not allowing it to connect. I mean, it could be anything. It could be weather. It could be. It just seems like it's the Skype application.
Yeah, it is definitely the Skype
because everything
application.
else is working fine. So like
the number should work.
Our network connection's fine. The number's working, and the account is active.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about it not being active. Yeah. Balance payments, auto recharge. No, that's for other stuff. Yeah. No, all of this is nothing that we can mess with. Nope, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. Caller ID, that's not what we want either, I don't believe. Nope. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Again, we're having technical difficulties. This is the first time we've had difficulties with Skype.
Maybe people in the conversation are saying something about it. Maybe they know something.
Next payment, I don't. So it must have. Yeah, it must have just happened because we set this up in August, and I believe it's for 3 months. So yeah, it would have been November. I know we took calls in November.
Our last show
was in November.
Nah,
no,
it wasn't November yet.
It was December.
It was like because the first was the fifth was Tuesday.
It was the 30th. That was our last show
because we did the last show was on Thursday.
Right.
But still, we take calls on Thursday. Yeah, we did because we took calls on Thursday. Yeah,
I don't know. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to
try calling her.
Let's see. We can
go to like
let me see.
Recent numbers, I think. It doesn't even show the other numbers.
Yeah, no, it's because I closed it out. All right, let's see. These are today. This one right here. Allow. Call ended. Yeah. No, it won't let us call.
So either. Yeah, we just tried calling, and as soon as we hit the call button, it said call ended. So there's a problem with it connecting either way, whether it's a dial out or somebody trying to call in.
Why isn't this working right here? This should bring up the
pen pad.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can't even bring up the pen pad. But we can click on a recent number that tried to call. We can click on that and try to call that number, but we cannot bring up the yeah.
All right, now we can.
So maybe we have to dial. Yeah. Or attempt to call someone.
Choose country.
That's weird.
I know. It's crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's not even allowing us to call.
I don't know what's up.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to
table this for next.
Yeah, we're gonna have to table this and then contact.
Could not get
support.
Price information for a given number. That doesn't make any sense. Why is all this? This is all. No, I don't get it. We never ran into this before. I don't understand this. Never had a problem with Skype before.
Nope.
Another thing to work on. All right, well, we'll work on that over the weekend to see if we can fix that.
What was that? Go back up. It says just started watching your channel. Well, that. Yeah. You don't choose politicians based on the letter by their name, alphabet free. That was independent outsider.
Alphabet
yeah,
free.
That is true. That is true. It's because it probably is something that's become more true as we've gotten older. You know what I'm saying?
So, were you still hearing the? The phone call, the ringing recently?
Just go to control panel. That was
who said that?
Anna Stancil.
Go to control panel. All right, that doesn't tell me a lot right there. Control panel. Nothing says control panel.
Maybe it's. Yeah, I don't even see control panel. There's nothing over there. Yeah,
I don't know if I remember seeing this before. Could I get price information or whatever? I don't know if I remember seeing
anything that says control.
Like we're online.
Manager.
Everything is the way it should be, you know? Interesting.
You know what did change? But see, we used that computer last. No, we used that computer last time too, though.
But did we take any calls last time? Yeah, the only difference is the computer system.
I think we did because I think Mary called in about net neutrality. Didn't Mary call in?
Is that right?
I think Mary called in and she talked about net neutrality. I think that was Thursday.
See, and now there's not even any. Nothing even.
And remember,
up.
somebody else call too? Bring up the thing about the Baltimore incident, and then we said we'd deal with it on Tuesday. Wasn't that Thursday too? So I'm thinking maybe it could possibly be the new the computer.
Let me try a different browser.
So we are trying a different browser now. Let's see what happens. Wait a second, you already signed in?
Yeah, I guess it was already in there.
I don't know. Let's see what it looks like.
You don't like that?
No, no. My techie senses. Yep.
Doesn't matter the browser.
It doesn't matter the browser, so it's got to be Skype.
Call failed. You need Skype credit or subscription to call landlines. Okay, see, we didn't get that before. Why would you need Skype credit?
Oh,
hold on.
Thank you for calling LTMB. Can I get your name and where you from? Oh, end it. So it actually did connect that time. That was the first time it looked like a connect, but I couldn't hear anything. Okay. Oh, no, not that time. But it happened when you hit that link, though.
This is weird.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to put this on the shelf because I don't think we're gonna.
Like, they took our money. Like, they took the money. So, all right.
Can you hear us? It looks like the call is being timed.
Can you hear?
Can you hear us? I can't hear any. I can't hear them. So it looks like the call is being timed. The timer is on. The call length is being recorded.
It's still on.
And it's still on, but we cannot hear anything. So we're wondering if the caller could actually hear us. Doesn't appear as if they can.
That doesn't make any sense, man.
Oh, well.
It says you need Skype credit or a subscription to call landlines and mobile phone. But we're not making any calls. Maybe that's what. Can we call? I don't know if we. But we should be able to accept calls.
Either way, it denies the acceptance of calls, and it denies
not this one.
The calls. Yeah, I know. Well, it won't even open.
Yeah. So this is highly irregular, man. I don't understand what's going on here.
So in the queue, it says current call, and it has the counter going, but when we try to open it up,
and the dot is there. Like there is an active call.
An active call, but we cannot activate the active call.
And there's nothing that's telling us. Even right here, it doesn't tell you to do anything. I'm gonna have to call customer service. Just straight up, we're gonna have to call customer service because this doesn't make any sense. We don't need the Skype for desktop. Anyway, we apologize to everybody that's called that wanted to be part of the conversation, but it looks like Skype is not letting that happen. Not tonight. We're gonna have to get some assistance with this before the next program. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Forget that. Just forget it, because I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, and another thing, why are you hearing the ringing too? I don't get that. But anyway, we'll deal with that on the next show. We don't want to just keep rehashing that. It's something that we can't fix right now. So, gallant try. You know, we've had to diagnose problems on the show a few times. A few times, yeah. We fixed a few of them. We fixed a few of them, but not this one. Net neutrality, December 14th. What she said? Maybe you turned off the. Maybe you turn off the ability to hear the callers when you silence the ringing before. No.
Nah, because
we never had to do anything.
Yeah, we never had to do anything.
Yeah,
and we actually came through. When we actually took it off, we actually deactivated that, so we still should have been able to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you shouldn't have to. Somebody suggested that we use Zoom. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. The only thing is that Zoom is expensive. To be honest, Zoom is more expensive. Is that? How come it's not popping up?
Yeah, it's not even popping up when we try to answer.
Can you hear anything?
Nope, I can't hear anything. Wait a second. Desktop audio. Okay. The person that just called, can you hear us? Nope. We can't hear them. But the call is active. It's showing that there's an active call. But
it has nothing to do with the speakers. Has nothing to do with that. No. Because speakers are right. Because you can hear. If we played anything, you could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play some music real quick. Let's see if we hear that.
I can hear that. Yeah.
All right. I'm sure the stream was able to hear that as well. I can hear that. Yep.
So yeah, it's not anything dealing with desktop audio. So that's got to be Skype not being.
So it's not the computer. It's Skype. It's something something dealing with Skype. I don't know. I know they took the money. I know Skype took the money.
Appears that they did take the money.
So we have to put a call in the Skype because they took the money.
Skype skipped.
It is Skype charging you for calls. Yeah, like they always have. We haven't made any alterations with the account or anything. It just renews, and whenever we get a call, there's no limit to the calls or anything like that. And we're in a brand new cycle too, 3-month cycle too. So should be no problem even if there was a limit. But yeah, I've looked at Zoom. Whoever suggested Zoom, independent outsider, you can get a free Zoom account. I remember looking at Zoom, and for what we needed to get done, I believe it was more than like $50 a month. I'm pretty sure it was more than $50 a month. Pretty sure it was that. Pretty sure it's more than $50 a month. Because because we're still getting hounded by people trying to help us. They keep emailing us like, "Hey, you gonna get that account? Hey, can I sign you up? How many hosts do you need?" We just need one. We just need one. I mean, like, we just need one line right now, really. I mean, for this moment, Google Hangouts would be best. The whole thing with Google Hangouts though is that you can do live videos with Google Hangouts. You can do broadcasts like that. But one, we couldn't be in this environment and then switch to the Google Hangouts. Like, we'd have to take a break, then come back with the Google Hangouts. You can't just automatically switch it.
You can't automatically switch it because, again, that's the broadcast is initiated by Google Hangouts.
It's like a different software.
Well, not just different software. Different software, but it would be a kind of it would essentially be a different platform.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah, it'd be a different. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. But like OBS, it's just a different way to broadcast the signal. Free account gives you stream unlimited with one guest and for 40 minutes with more than one. Yeah, but see, that's the way you're explaining it. Forsaken Companion, the way you're explaining it though, stream unlimited. Like, I believe we could stream with Zoom, but to be able to take calls, I don't believe you can just, take like more than one call or anything like that. I don't think that would be an option. I'll have to take a look at Zoom again, but from what I remember, it wasn't an option because of the cost. At least for right now. Let's see. All right, so free. See.
Anything about calls?
Yeah, minimum of 10 hosts. Dedicated phone support. Because I might be talking about Be Live as well.
Plus sign, yeah.
See them on the calls. So yeah, like this is like if you wanted to do a video conferencing. But I don't see anything about calls.
Oh, there it is.
Join. Yeah. Okay. See, that was the thing. That was the thing. Yeah. See, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I remember talking to somebody, and they said that what our purposes need, we would need the Pro plan, which is $15 a month, but we'd also have to get the optional add-on plan for the I believe it's the Join by Zoom Rooms. I think that's what it is, and that's $49 a month. I believe that's what it is. I have to look at it. Yeah.
Below that it says toll-free dialing or call.
I know because I know why I looked into this it wasn't for the call-in. That's not why we looked into this, because of the interviewing platform, like having somebody on that we can actually see and interview in the video. That is, $40. Add video webinars, $40. So yeah, in total it'd be like $55 a month for that. The call-in feature, the only thing that they're saying about call-in is join by toll-free dial-in or call me, starting at $100 a month. I'm not seeing anything else about call-in. So let's see what anybody else is saying. Let's see. I could call you via phone, still $15. I don't understand how that's how is that possible? Do they give you a phone number? Because the phone number has to come from somewhere. If they give you a phone number, then that'd be fine. But if they don't include a phone number, then we'd have to include a phone number from somewhere. Like, we would get that phone number from Skype, or what? Like, what phone number would we be using? That's the whole issue right there. Yeah. Anna, you're talking about the devices and drivers. It's not that either, because we're not even using the Skype app or the webcam. That's not what we use for the calling either. We use it straight through the internet, right? Straight through the browser. We never ever use the Skype app. Guys, actually, the Skype app didn't even work. Well, that was on the other computer that we were using, but the Skype app did not work whatsoever. It was always through the website, always through the browser that we looked into, and that always worked. We never had a problem with that. So it's not the driver, I know that much. Independent outsider, you're gonna have to give some more. Give us some more information, because where does the number, like, if we use that platform to broadcast, that's fine. I understand how that works, but the number, like, what number are you going to be calling? Where would that number come from? If they provide that number, then that's great. But if they aren't providing that number, then we have to have a number that can be in the stream somehow. And to do that, I mean, there's a way to do that, like with the cell phone. There's a way to do that, but you need a audio interface for that, and of course that's money as well.
You have a Facebook channel.
Yes, let the madness begin on Facebook. like I said, there's a number of options we can do to actually take calls, but Skype is the. I mean, right now Skype is by far the cheapest method that is available to us. There's we could use the what's the Too Raw TV. What's that on? Free Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio. Yeah, we could use that, but of course that's still too. That's about $40 a month as well. And again, like I said, I've looked at different options and using the actual cell phone to do it, but to bring the cell phone environment into the computer, you need an audio interface. We don't have that. We don't have that piece of equipment, and that piece of equipment is not cheap. Yeah. So, but an audio interface is actually one piece of equipment we need, because to get these things out of the way, we may have to go audio interface route, because the wireless
receiver,
the receivers
need to have
the certain connection that you need to plug it into an audio interface so that you can get it into the computer. So anyway, that's enough troubleshooting for right now. We're not getting anywhere. But appreciate everybody that joined us for this show. Again, apologies for not being here on Tuesday. Doesn't happen often. Actually, let me see, we missed that, and we missed Thanksgiving, but I mean, nobody was gonna watch us on Thanksgiving. Come on now, I wasn't gonna watch us on Thanksgiving. I was too busy eating. You know,
true that.
Please,
I have priorities.
Hell yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting my turkey. You know. But anyway, appreciate that, Independent Outsider. Appreciate everybody that's been here to watch the program, that tried calling in, that was in the chat section and asking questions, or interacting with the other viewers. We always appreciate it, and we hope that you will join us for Tuesday. Hopefully my voice will be a little bit better. I think it made it through, though. I made it through.
Yeah, it didn't crack, you know what I'm saying, too much.
You didn't get me all,
yeah,
you ain't get me to that place.
I told you I wasn't going to, man.
Yeah, all right. You ain't get me there. Not today. We've heard of this Ebon Kim before. Somebody has suggested Ebon Kim before too. So he's very familiar with the Zoom app. Or is one can pass the word on? Okay. We'll see what we can do. But we will be back after the weekend on Tuesday, and we'll see what's going on in the news. We'll see what we'll need to be talking about, what's relevant. And but until then, we appreciate everybody that's been here, and we'll be on Facebook. Yeah, we'll be on Facebook Live in a few minutes. Usually try to get there by 9:30, but we were trying to troubleshoot. But we'll be on there for a few minutes. If you want to join us, it's just facebook.com/letthemadnessbegin if you don't have a Facebook account. And we'll see you there. If not, we will see you Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, thank you for being here. Let the madness begin. We're out.